Yes. All right. We're back with Steve Ward from Invincia. All right. And Steve, you were just kind of about to lay out the program approach over at Invincia, putting, so to speak, everybody into this bubble, this protected bubble. Why don't you take it away from there?
Sure. So effectively, what we've tried to do is make user mistakes irrelevant to the security posture of your network. Okay. Users are going to click on links regardless of if you tell them don't click on things you don't trust. And in fact, comes up some very compelling ways to trick the user into clicking on things that infect their machines. What we've said is if we can put the user in a fully contained bubble, okay, effectively create a separate operating system on which the browser, the PDF reader, and other highly targeted application types like the Office suite. And what we can do is we can effectively contain the malicious content, the malware, from actually getting to the desktop and thus getting onto the network. So we created a Type 2 hypervisor. We push out what looks like a Windows application to the desktop. Anytime the user fires up IE or Firefox or Adobe Reader, what's happening is firing up again. Fully segregated operating system, all the way down to the kernel layer, that those applications are then running in. We took it one step further and said, let's attenuate that VM. It's not good enough just to, but can we detect as well? Let's attenuate that VM with behavioral-based sensors. So not using signatures, but looking for malicious our operating system, right? And flag anytime we see one of those behaviors occur to indicate to the user they've been infected, right? So effectively what's happening is I open up IE, it's not opened on my desktop, it's opened in this separate OS and a separate VM. I run into a spear phishing attack. I click on a link that tries to run a drive-by exploit against IE. We flag to the user and we say, you've been infected, Mr. User, okay? Now the user doesn't have to freak out and they don't have to call IT and you don't have to re-image a machine because what we do is throw away that contained environment, completely discard the infected machine, okay? And we rebuild the user back up and running on the internet in 20 seconds. What's more, we capture all the forensic detail related to the exploit that we see running in that VM and we feed that back to your teams for real-time actionable intelligence. So effectively, what you get is that deep dive forensic analysis through tools like NetWitness, but not in a post facto fashion. You've prevented the attack, and then you've also gathered all the intel with respect to how the attack attempted to occur, what the adversary was trying to do, and where the adversary is located.
Yeah, I'm just getting some comment from some of our listeners that are eager to hear what you're saying. And unfortunately, Steve, some of the audio was kind of kicking out. One of our listeners mentioned a little bit of a fan noise. Just so everybody out there realizes this, all right, this is not going to be our last outing with Steve. He's going to be coming back onto the program. This is kind of an introduction today, so everybody kind of understands that. He'll be coming back to the program, and he'll be on our Thursday conference call as well. So we'll get a little bit of a head in on to what's going on here as well. All right, Steve, just to bring you back into this again, and just to acknowledge to the people that are up on the chat with this, I'm getting all sorts of suggestions. So maybe your hardware, it may be a fan, it may be all sorts of different things. I got it. Steve gets it. We all get it. Thanks, folks. We hope that next time he comes on to the program, we'll have all these issues resolved. All right? We tried to do most of it yesterday. All right? But despite the imperfections, it is kind of interesting that you say, you've got actually the URLs, the downloaded attachment in a bubble. All right? And you've got it almost in what appears to me to be almost a VMware. All right? Where, if you open it up and you see what's going on, it actually does a little bit of analysis. That's what's going on inside the VMware. And it, kind of red light, green light. That's a cop stuff from me, Steve. Sorry. All right. If it's a green light, you get to download it. You get to view it. If it's a red light, no good. And Invincia wipes it and then restores your drive, which is pretty cool. Tell me about latency. What does it do to systems? what does it do to enterprises? Because on a one-to-one machine, I can see this working like a beauty. But on an enterprise rollout, how does that impact it?
Sure, and I'll try and talk a little slower to hopefully avoid audio cutout. And if it does cut out, I apologize. As Joe mentioned, we did try and deal with that yesterday and thought we had it licked. With respect to enterprise rollout, we currently have clients that have deployed as many as 50,000 seats of our product. Okay, so we are enterprise tested. We roll out the same way you would any Windows application. So SMS, BigFix, Altiris, etc. Anything you use to push a Windows app, we've been tested through. Okay. With respect to latency, now we operate best because there is a system call, system requirement from the VM. We operate best on machines that are running 2 gigs or higher. When your machine is running 2 gigs or higher, you're talking about milliseconds worth of delay in terms of what the normal or native user experience might be running IE and running in our environment. We focused completely on making sure the user experience was seamless. Okay, and there's an SC Magazine review done by Peter Stevenson where he talks about that part of our approach, that it's completely transparent. They don't know they're even in this bubble. And then you don't get any pushback from the organization to say, this is a productivity killer. We can't put this control in place. Okay. When you look at what we need in terms of that machine, 2 gigs or higher, and you look at the trend moving towards Windows 7, Windows 7 4 gigs or higher, we're screaming fast in that environment. And we have a number of clients that are building us into their Gold Clean Master rollout for the Win 7 deployment.
Well, that's very good. We're going to bring you back for one more segment.